Hello, everyone. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. I have been following General Hospital news for years, and I have to tell you, this latest situation involving Steve Burton caught my attention immediately. We're all used to seeing drama play out on our television screens, but every now and then, a real-life story comes along that feels even more emotional than anything the writers could dream up. When I heard that Steve was back in court over issues involving his daughter Brooklyn and his ex-wife Cherie, I couldn't help but stop and think about how painful these family battles can become when children are caught in the middle. From where I sit, this story feels less like a legal dispute and more like a father desperately trying to protect his relationship with his child. According to the reports, Steve believes Cherie has been undermining his bond with their one-year-old daughter, Brooklyn. As a parent, that kind of accusation carries a lot of weight. It's one thing for former spouses to disagree, but when one parent feels the other is influencing a child against them, that can create wounds that last for years. What really stood out to me was Steve's claim that court-ordered visitation has not always been respected. Now, none of us are sitting in that courtroom and we only know what has been reported, but if there's one thing I've learned in life, it's that consistency matters to children. Kids need stability. They need to know that both parents are there for them regardless of how complicated the adult's relationship becomes. When schedules break down and communication turns into conflict, children often end up carrying a burden they never asked for. Another part of this story that caught my eye involves Steve's new wife, Michelle Lundstrom. From Steve's perspective, Michelle has been a positive stepmother figure, and he reportedly feels frustrated that she has become a source of tension. I can understand why that would bother him. Blended families are never easy. As folks like to say back home, it takes a lot of patience to keep the peace under one roof. When children have parents, step-parents, and siblings all trying to find their place, respect becomes incredibly important. The reports also mention concerns about messages allegedly criticizing Michelle and objections regarding her involvement in Brooklyn's daily life, including school pickups. Reading that made me think about how difficult it must be for everyone involved. A child can end up feeling pulled in multiple directions, trying to balance loyalty to one parent without hurting the other. That's a heavy responsibility for anyone, let alone in one-year-old girl. Then there's the issue of Steve's move from California to Tennessee, which appears to have added another layer of disagreement between the former couple. Long-distance parenting can be challenging under the best circumstances. Throw legal disputes and emotional disagreements into the mix, and suddenly even routine visitation arrangements can become major points of conflict. I've seen situations like that before, and they rarely stay simple for long. The strongest language reportedly came when Steve accused Cherie of deliberately driving a wedge between him and Brooklyn. That is a serious allegation, and it shows just how deeply emotional this dispute has become. Whether the court ultimately agrees with Steve's claims remains to be seen, but one thing is clear to me: this is no longer just about paperwork and legal filings. It's about a father who believes his relationship with his daughter is being threatened and who feels compelled to fight for it. As I read through all these developments, I found myself hoping that somehow the adults involved can find common ground. Courtrooms can settle legal questions, but rebuilding trust inside a family is a much harder task. And at the end of the day, Brooklyn is the one person who deserves peace more than anyone else in this difficult situation. The more I read about this situation, the more I find myself shaking my head and thinking about how complicated family relationships can become after a divorce. What stands out to me is that these latest allegations from Steve Burton don't appear to be isolated complaints. They seem to be part of a larger pattern that has been developing for quite some time. Reports indicate that Steve has already taken legal action regarding custody issues in recent months, which tells me that whatever disagreements exist between him and Cherie have been building beneath the surface for a while. At the same time, I think it would be unfair to look at this story from only one side. What makes this situation so fascinating and honestly so heartbreaking is that Cherie has presented a completely different version of events. According to her, she has never intentionally prevented Steve from spending time with Brooklyn. In fact, she reportedly believes she has been flexible and willing to support arrangements that benefit their daughter. That's where these kinds of disputes become incredibly difficult to untangle. I've lived long enough to know that when relationships break down, two people can walk away from the exact same situation with entirely different memories and interpretations. One parent may feel excluded, while the other feels they are simply protecting their child. One person may see conflict, while the other sees caution. The truth often ends up somewhere in the middle, hidden beneath layers of hurt feelings, misunderstandings, and years of unresolved tension. One aspect of Cherie's response that really caught my attention was her concern about Brooklyn spending extended periods away from California. She reportedly feels uncomfortable with her daughter being away from home for more than 3 weeks at a time. To be honest, I can understand why that would matter to a mother. Home isn't just a house. It's school, friends, routines, favorite places, familiar faces, and a sense of security. Children often rely on those things more than adults realize. When I think about a one-year-old girl trying to navigate all of this, I can't help but feel sympathy for Brooklyn. She's at an age where children begin forming stronger opinions and becoming more aware of the emotions surrounding them. Even when parents try their best to shield their kids from conflict, children are often far more perceptive than adults give them credit for. They notice tension, they sense frustration, they pick up on things that are never directly said. That's one reason these allegations about parental alienation strike such a nerve with so many people. If Steve genuinely believes his relationship with Brooklyn is being damaged, I can understand why he would feel compelled to fight back. A parent never wants to feel like they're losing their connection with their child. At the same time, if Cherie truly believes she is acting in Brooklyn's best interests, then she likely feels misunderstood and unfairly criticized. It's a difficult situation all around, and unfortunately, there are rarely easy solutions when emotions run this deep. What I find especially sad is that legal battles often create winners and losers on paper, but families don't always heal once a judge makes a decision. Court orders can establish visitation schedules and custody arrangements, but they can't magically restore trust or eliminate resentment. That's something that takes time, patience, and a willingness from everyone involved to put the child's needs ahead of old arguments. As all of this continues to unfold in real life, General Hospital fans have another major topic to talk about, and I have to admit, this one has me genuinely excited. The latest rumors surrounding Jason Morgan's future in Port Charles have been gaining momentum, and if even part of what we're hearing turns out to be true, viewers may be in for one of the most emotionally powerful storylines we've seen in years. For a long time, Jason has been known as the calm, steady force who can survive almost anything. He's been shot, kidnapped, presumed dead, and thrown into more dangerous situations than most characters could ever handle. Yet somehow, he always finds a way to keep moving forward. That's exactly why these rumors about a possible PTSD storyline have captured my attention. According to the speculation making the rounds, Jason could be dealing with the psychological aftermath of his WSB mission involving Raj Patel. If that's the direction the writers are taking, I think it could reveal a side of Jason that viewers rarely get to see. Physical injuries heal, emotional wounds often don't. In fact, sometimes they grow worse when someone spends years pretending they aren't there. The comparison to Dante Falconeri's PTSD storyline is particularly interesting. Fans watch Dante struggle with trauma, guilt, fear, and emotional isolation. Those scenes resonated because they felt authentic. They reminded viewers that mental health challenges can affect anyone, regardless of how strong they appear on the outside. As I sit here looking at both the real-life headlines involving Steve Burton and the exciting rumors surrounding Jason Morgan's future, one thing becomes clear to me. Whether we're talking about real families facing difficult challenges or fictional characters battling emotional scars, these stories resonate because they touch on something deeply human. They remind us that strength isn't about never struggling. It's about finding a way to keep going despite those struggles. And if these rumors are accurate, I have a feeling Port Charles is about to witness a version of Jason Morgan that fans have never truly seen before. For longtime viewers like me, that's the kind of story worth watching unfold.